Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the fun line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Good morning, councillors. Good morning, officers. Welcome to our special council meeting for the 4th of July to adopt our budget and the plans that go with that. Yep. It was on. It's on. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Councillors, I'll begin with acknowledgement to country and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today, the Darumbal people, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Extend that respect to our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Gungaloo Nation people, the Barada, Cabelbarra and Yetamarala people. Also acknowledging the Torres Strait Islander peoples whose land is in the Torres Strait but who live and work on Aboriginal land. Councillors, we have no leave of absence or apologies. Declarations and matters on the agenda. Council, as this is a budget adoption, there's an overriding issue there where there are no conflicts. So we move into the first item. We have a number of items as we work through for adoption this morning, and we'll work through those as we go through. But if there are any questions, we can deal with them at that time. Firstly, council, is the 5.1, which is the 2023-24 operational plan and performance plan. Alyssa, did you wish to speak to it at all, or just happy for questions? Did you want to?
I'm happy to speak to it,
or
yes, thank you. Can run it, mate. Yep. Thank you. So good morning, Mayor and councillors. This report is seeking council's adoption of the 2023-24 operational plan, together with the attached performance plans for our 3 business units, being Rockhampton Regional Waste and Recycling, Fitzroy River Water and Rockhampton Airport. Councillors would be familiar with the contents of the operational plan. It was previously presented on the 8th of June for endorsement. This year's operational plan is the second operational plan in our 5-year corporate plan cycle, and it sets out what actions council will undertake over the upcoming financial year in delivering its 5-year corporate plan. The document has been developed with the input of councillors, leadership team, as well as a number of officers throughout the organisation, and I'd really like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their input in putting the plan together. If there are no questions, it's recommended that the operational plan be adopted.
Councillors, any questions to Alyssa on that one? As we've workshopped on numerous times for a lot of these items today, again, hopefully we resolve those through those workshops, but if there are any questions throughout the course of the meetings, please raise them and we'll do our best to answer them. Councillors, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Seconded Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, Alyssa. Moving on to 5.2, the revenue policy 23-24. Marnie. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, everyone. So this is the revenue policy for 23-24. It's recommended that Council adopts the revenue policy as set out in the attachment to this report for the 23-24 financial year in accordance with Section 169 of the Local Government Regulation, and that Council approves a review timeline of the revenue policy as part of the 24-25 budget adoption process to be carried out between the 31st of May 24 and the 1st of August 24.
Thanks, Marnie. Again, councillors, any questions to that item, revenue policy? Again, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Seconded Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Moving on to item 5.3, the Rates Concession Policy 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, councillors, this is the rates concession policy. It's had a few minor adjustments made to it and a review in conjunction with the legal and governance team as well when we've worked through this. It is recommended that council adopts the rates concession policy as set out in the attachment to this report in accordance with Chapter 4, Part 10 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and that council approves the review timeline of the rates concession policy as part of the 24-25 budget adoption process to be carried out between the 31st of May 2024 and the 1st of August 2024, and that council grants a rates concession under Section 122 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to any ratepayers considered eligible for support under the rates concession policy.
Thanks again, Marnie. Councillors, any questions to Marnie on that one? If not, could I seek a mover and a seconder with that one? Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Latcham. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 5.4, the Debt Borrowings Policy 23-24. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this is the debt borrowings policy for 23-24, which sets out our borrowings over the next 10 years. The recommendation is that council adopts the debt borrowings policy set out in the attachment to this report for the 23-24 financial year in accordance with Section 192 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and that council approves a review timeline of the debt borrowings policy as part of the 24-25 budget adoption process to be carried out between the 31st of May 2024 and the 1st of August 2024.
Thank you, Marnie. Council, any questions on that? If not, could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to that one, please? Councillor Latcham, seconded Councillor Smith. Put that. Those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Rates Relief Hardship Policy 5.5. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this rates relief hardship policy, councillors will recall, was a new policy introduced in 2022 and applies to ratepayers for residential properties and Category 6 properties experiencing serious financial hardship as a result of being unable to pay their rates and charges, including being unable to meet a payment arrangement under the debt recovery policy. Council has received 2 applications under the policy to date, and this has been reviewed. The recommendation is that Council adopts the rates relief hardship policy set out in the attachment to this report, that Council approve a review timeline of the rates relief hardship policy of 2 years, or when any of the following occur: the related information is amended or replaced, or other circumstances as determined from time to time by the Council. And that Council grants a rates relief hardship concession under Section 122 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to any ratepayers considered eligible for support under the rates relief hardship policy.
Thanks again, Marnie. Councillor, any questions to that? Move Councillor Wickerson. Have a second. Councillor Smith. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.6, Land Use Codes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So in relation to the land use codes, Council this year has adopted its primary land use codes to be used by us ourselves rather than relying on the land use codes that have previously been released by the state government. So the land use codes are provided with their descriptions for use for the identification and allocation of parcels of land in conjunction with the differential rating categories, descriptions and identification table shown and contained in the revenue statement yet to be adopted. So the recommendation is that the primary land use codes be adopted for use by the Rockhampton Regional Council as a reference in the annual revenue statement.
Thanks again, Marnie. Questions, councillors? If not, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Mathers, put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. I moved and seconded Councillor Mathers. Yes. Revenue statement for 23-24, 5.7. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this is the revenue statement presented to councillors detailing all of the rates and charges and applicable rating categories as per our rating policies and procedures. So this is, the recommendation is that pursuant to section 169(2) and 172 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopts the Revenue Statement 23-24 as tabled.
Okay, councillors, no questions. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Wickerson. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.8, the differential general rates 23-24. Thank you, Money.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So presented to Council are the differential rating categories for general rates, as stated in the report. The recommendation is that pursuant to section, well, the first recommendation is pursuant to section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the categories into which rateable land is categorised, the description of those categories pursuant to sections 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the method by which land is to be identified and included in its appropriate category is as follows in the table.
Thank you, Money.
And there's also Part B and C. So Part B is that Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power pursuant to sections 81.4 and 81.5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to identify the rating category to which each parcel of rateable land belongs. Part C, pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 80 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category, and pursuant to section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the minimum general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rate category is as follows. So that's provided for that. And then Part D, for the 23-24 financial year, Council will not be resolving to limit any increases in rates and charges.
Thank you, Marnie. Councillors, questions? I have a mover and a seconder with regards to that. Moved Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Latcham. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.9, the road network separate charge 23-24. Thank you, Money.
Mr Mayor. The recommendation is that pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 103 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a separate charge to be known as the Road Network Separate Charge in the sum of $460 per rateable assessment, to be levied equally on all rateable land in the region for the defraying part of the cost of maintaining the road network within the region.
Moved Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Latcham. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.10, Natural Environment Separate Charge 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this one is that pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 103 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy a separate charge to be known as the Natural Environment Separate Charge in the sum of $55 per rateable assessment, to be levied equally on all rateable land in the region for the defraying part of formulating and implementing initiatives for environmental protection, enhancement and conservation, including the many varied initiatives that contribute to these outcomes within the region, and that the discount for the prompt payment of rates and charges granted in accordance with section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 will not apply to the Natural Environment Separate Charge.
Thank you, Marnie. Do I have a mover and a seconder with regards to the recommendation? I move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. 5.11, the special charge, charges for 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this one is, the recommendation for this one is in relation to Section 128A of the Fire and Emergency Services Act 1990 and Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009, that Council make and levy special charges for the provision of rural firefighting services to certain parts of the region. The charges shall be levied on all land which specifically benefits from the provision of rural firefighting services. For 23-24, the Council shall make a special charge in the following amounts for each of the following rural fire brigades, which are listed in the table. The rateable land to which each of these special charges will apply is land within the areas separately described on the map titled Rockhampton Regional Council Rural Fire Brigades Boundary and appears in the map below.
Thank you, councillors. We have a mover and a second with regards to that one. Moved Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.12, the sewage utility charge for 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the recommendation is that pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy sewerage utility charges for the supply of sewerage services by the Council as follows in the townships of Gracemere, Mount Morgan and Rockhampton, and that the application of the above levied sewerage utility charges be in accordance with the further detail provided in Council's adopted revenue statement 23-24.
Thank you, Marnie. Questions? No questions? Could I have a mover and a second with regards to that? Moved Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Mathers. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Councillor, I think, just on that one, I think there's a pathway to bring parity in that in the years to come. I think we need to, once we sustain some of these shocks that we have with our finances going forward, that we need to consider that going forward in the years to come. Thank you. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
5.13, water utility charges 23-24.
Okay, thank you. So the recommendation is Part A, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Sections 99 and 101 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy water utility charges for the supply of water supply services by the Council as follows: to Gracemere, Mount Morgan and Rockhampton, as listed in the tables in the report. And Part B, the application of the above levied water utility charges be in accordance with the further detail provided in Council's adopted revenue statement 23-24, and pursuant to Section 102.2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, a water meter is taken to have been read during the period that starts 2 weeks before and ends 2 weeks after the day on which the meter is actually read.
Thank you. Thank you, Marnie. No questions. Could I have a mover and a second with regards to that? Moved Councillor Kirkland, seconded Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.14, the waste management utility charges 23-24. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the recommendation is that Part A, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy waste management utility charges for the supply of waste management services by the Council as follows in the tables below. And that Part B, the application of the above levied waste management utility charges be in accordance with the further detail provided in Council's adopted revenue statement for 23-24.
Could I have a mover and a second with regards to that one? Councillor Latcham, seconded Councillor Fisher. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. 5.15 rates and charges discount 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So that the recommendation is that pursuant to Section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rates, separate charges excluding the natural environment separate charge, sewage utility charges, water utility charges excluding water consumption charges, and waste management utility charges made and levied shall be subject to a discount of 10% if paid within the discount period of 30 clear days of the date of issue of the rate notice, provided that A, all of the aforementioned rates and charges are paid within 30 clear days of the date of the issue of the rate notice, all other rates and charges appearing on the rate notice that are not subject to a discount are paid within 30 clear days after the date of issue of the rate notice, and C, all other overdue rates and charges relating to the rateable assessment are paid within 30 clear days of the date of issue of the rate notice.
Thank you, Marnie. Moved Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher, seconded Councillor Smith. No questions. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Rates and charges interest 23-24.
Thank you,
5.16.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the recommendation is that pursuant to Section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, compound interest on daily rests at the rate of 11.64% per annum, applicable from the 1st of July 2023, is to be charged on the balance of all rates and charges remaining outstanding 30 clear days after the due date.
Thanks, Money. Any questions? If not, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Seconded, Councillor Fisher. We'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the 5.17, the State Government's Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy and Payment for 23-24.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the recommendation is that pursuant to Section 107 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and Section 114 of the Fire and Emergency Services Act 1990, Council's rates and charges and the State Government's Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy be levied, A, for the half year from the 1st of July 2023 to the 31st of December 2023 in August or September of 2023, and for the half year 1st of January 2024 to the 30th of June 2024 in February, March of 2024. And Part B, pursuant to Section 118 of the Local Government Regulation, that Council's rates and charges and the State Government's Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy be paid on the day that is 30 clear days after the date of issue of the rate notice.
Thanks, Money. Councillors, any questions? If not, could I seek a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Smith. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. 5.18, the Statement of an Estimated Financial Position for 22-23. Thank you, Money.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So just to clarify, councillors, this is actually the Statement of Financial Position where we seek to close out the 22-23 financial year. It is part of the budget booklet documents and is incorporated into the financial statements that are already in there. It's not a separate document, just to be clear. The recommendation is that pursuant to Section 205 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Statement of Estimated Financial Position be received and its contents noted as presented by the Chief Executive Officer in respect of the previous financial year, being the Statement of Estimated Financial Position.
Thank you, Money. Councillors, no questions to Money. If I could have a mover and a seconder with regards to the report. Move Councillor Mather, seconded Councillor Kirkland. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. And 5.19, Money, I'm happy to take it from here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, I'm happy to move adoption of the 23-24 budget and seek a seconder. Seconded Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher. Councillor, before I begin, I'd like to welcome to all of these in the room and people watching online. I want to take this moment to highlight the hard work and the challenge that this budget has been. I know that for many long conversations over the many months and the work that we've done to present the budget today. I want to say up front my appreciation and thanks to the councillors for their efforts in bringing together what has been a very difficult budget. Like many in the community, we've seen some real cost pressures placed on council over the coming 12 months. Cost pressures like the electricity increases, insurance increases, construction and fuel costs. This is having a real impact on our budget and presenting unique challenges as we try to balance those costs and the needs to continue to invest in projects and services across the community, with the impact of rate rises on local residents and businesses. I want to take this moment to explain these pressures. What we expect to see over the 12 months, the coming 12 months, is an electricity cost increase over $1 million. That's $1 million on what we've paid last year. That's only just for the 23 alone. And we expect our insurance cost to increase by over $1 million as well. That's not another million. That's not $1 million for our electricity costs. That's an extra $1 million that we're seeing that we need to cover. We're also seeing construction costs increase around the 10%, with many of those products and services increasing by much more than that. This has been really difficult to navigate, and we all know that we need to continue to invest in the projects and the initiatives that the community need. This is all occurring while we're continuing to feel the impacts of the revenue reductions from the federal grants. We expect to see a 50% reduction in this financial year from the federal assistance grants, which means that we're having to deliver projects and services at a higher cost with less revenue to offset the range of those rates and charges. And I want to ensure the community that we have sought to manage our own internal budget and contain those increases with the operational budgets below the real expected costs. We will also continue with a range of rate rebates, concessions and discounts to support many in our community. We do this because, and we acknowledge that the impact of cost of living pressures being felt by many and understand that we are all feeling the bite of inflation. That is why we have tried hard to find the balance in this budget. A balance between the projects and services that we know we need to do and support our community and invest in the future, and limiting the impact of rate rises as much as possible. Residents will see that where we have scope to invest in projects and initiatives, we have focused on those and will deliver those important community benefits that offset for the future. Projects we know that the residents and businesses rely on that are essential for the region to operate and grow. That investment into our roads renewals, upgrades and rehabilitation, investments into our water and sewage treatment plants, upgrades because we know that those services make the region work. Continuing to invest in our parks and gardens and community facilities to give people a place of space to go and enjoy. And we will continue to invest in our economic development because we know this is absolutely essential to secure the jobs in the industry which support our region and the growth in the future. I hope that the residents will see that we have done this, and while keeping rate rises below CPI, which is not an easy task, again I want to thank all councillors for their efforts. It has been a team effort, and one of which I've seen every councillor contribute. While it has been difficult, I think that we have struck a balance between those competing pressures and the cost of living and the projects that we know that we need to deliver for our community interests. I also believe that there are things that we can point to that show those positive things for our region. Our regional economy is the largest it's ever been. Importantly, the economy has grown twice as much over the last 2 years as it has done in the previous 8 years before. This is by no means insignificant, and that we need to focus on that as we move forward, growing our economy, growing opportunities and securing more jobs for the region and local residents. We know that this is how we can improve local outcomes and opportunities to secure our region that has a really strong future. For information on the budget, the rate rise and the investments that we are making in our local roads, infrastructure and other projects will all be available online shortly, and I urge everyone to take this moment to look to those investments and see what we are making what this means for local residents. Because of this is our budget, and it's a budget for the future. I now seek support from the councillors to commend the budget for 23-24. Thank you. Councillors, speakers against the budget. Councillor Kirkland.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your address, Mr Mayor. That was outstanding. Excellent. Thank you. Our budgeting process includes structuring for different rating categories and more heavily weighted bandings for the purpose of recovering the additional infrastructure expenses incurred by varied commercial, industrial, extractive and agricultural sectors of our region. And I'm sure the community understands and accepts that. That makes it fair. That difference in the banding also assists towards economic development arm, assists towards the expenses of our economic development arm, Advance Rockhampton. I do believe, though, that to then again further more heavily shift the burden of the required rate increase to meet the total increases on expenses to one or more categories is in principle not fair or equitable, especially when a more equitable distribution would mean less than 80 cents a week to the average ratepayer compared to, in many cases, thousands for those supporting and growing our region. Those impacts that the Mayor has mentioned today are also being felt by everyone across the region. There continues to exist, as we've seen already today with those resolutions adopted, significant provision for concession and discounts.
However, it is based on the principle of equity in this rate rise to meet those increasing expenses that I oppose the proposed rate increase for today.
Thank you, Councillor Kirkland. Another speaker for the motion? Councillors, I'll close debate and wrap up. Councillors, as we've worked through those budgets and those many workshops that we deliberated on over that time, we all agree and understand there's areas that we don't get consensus on, but to highlight an area where shifting the increase in tough economic times across to the residential ratepayers, when all ratepayers are paying for Advance Rockhampton and growing our region and taking that forward, that's an investment by everyone of $7 million that sees the majority of that effort going across into the businesses that benefit from that. And we believe during those workshops that we've seen that as an equitable way of sharing the burden of our Advance Rockhampton and economic development team, as we mentioned, as we work through those budget workshops. So moving during a tough economics time with rate increases across to sharing that burden where it should be, as what we've discussed in those budget workshops, which had consensus from the majority of the councillors at the time. So on that, I'll close debate and call a division. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Yeah, please stand. We'll record the vote. Myself, Mayor Councillor Williams, Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher, Councillor Grant Mathers, Councillor Drew Wickerson, Councillor Sheree Rutherford, Councillor Alan Smith and Councillor Shane Latcham. Please sit. And those opposed? Councillor Donna Kirkland. Councillors, the motion is carried, and thank you for your deliberations today. If there be no further business, I'll close the council meeting and thank you. Just on that note, though, I'd like to thank the officers and the team that also worked in presenting that budget workshops and all the work that went into today's budget. Thank you.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
You right to go? Okay, thank you, councillors and officers. We'll start by opening the Infrastructure Committee meeting for the 4th of July. And I'd like to begin with acknowledgement to country, acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land in which we meet today, the Darumba people, and pay my respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. Extend that respect to our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Gungaloo Nation people, the Barada, Cabelbarra and Yedamurala people. Also acknowledging the Torres Strait Islander peoples whose lands are in the Torres Straits but who live and work on Aboriginal land. Councillor, we have a full complement today. Confirmation of the previous minutes from the last infrastructure meeting held on the 6th of June. Be confirmed as true and accurate. Thank you, Councillor Smith moved. Seconded, Councillor Latcham. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. Councillor Smith, again with the Mount Morgan Water Supply Pipeline Project project delivery in the capital report. Acknowledge that. If there are questions in relation to that, Councillor Smith, we'll go into those questions, but just be mindful, councillors, if there is anything there that needs to be raised, that we do that in due course and inform Councillor Smith to take leave.
Mr Mayor, apparently even with voting on I can't vote on it, even if it's not discussed during the meeting. There was a message came from the CEO.
Okay.
That's correct. So we've separated that item and we'll
deal with it separately while we vote on that. Okay, that's clarification on that matter. Thank you for raising that, Councillor Smith. Business outstanding nil, public forum deputations nil, presentation of petitions nil, and council delegate report nil. That'll lead us straight into the officers' reports, which are 10.1, the project delivery capital project report for June 2023. And we do have that there as a separate, the recommendation is separated there, Councillor Smith. So, Peter, I might hand over to you or Andrew. Andrew, to present that report on that, please.
We'll comment that the councillors will notice that the reports change slightly, and it's kind of in a bit of evolution over the coming months. So we're just trying to refine how we present that to council. So just to improve the information.
Thanks, Mayor, councillors. I'll provide a bit of an update on the capital projects we're delivering. So the Alliance maintenance hangar. So that project, the QFES have now been through, and we're now waiting just on the final certification for occupancy. So that's, I suppose, all over with Alliance Airlines now to finalise that project. The Botanic Gardens and Zoo, the visitor hub, that, I suppose I refer to the report that came to council last week. So after this meeting, I have a meeting with a number of officers in relation to working on the resolution of council and in relation to see if we can provide an amenities up at the zoo around the context of what's required under the resolution. The renewal program, so the enclosures, so the Eagle enclosure, unfortunately there has been a bit of delay in obtaining the roof sheeting, so that is expected this week, and that's probably all that's really required in the next week or two to be finalised on that project. So we'll work a bit more closely now with the zoo staff and hand that project over to them. The Botanic Gardens car park, that's now finalised. The Gracemere SES car park's now finalised. The Athelstane reservoir roof, we have also run into a bit of a supply issue and a design issue there with the purlins that are required in that. So we have now had a little redesign developed and working with the builder just to procure the required materials and commence that project, working with FRW. North Rockhampton sewage treatment plant, so work's progressing over there. All the concrete structures are now finished, and they've commenced hydrostatic testing of the main ditch, and they're also installing a lot of the platforms and bridges. We've had inspection by our design people last week in relation to some of the mechanical services that were installed, including the blowers and some of the mixers. A lot of the cabling and cable trays is now well and truly underway, and a lot of installation of underground pipelines connecting up the old and the new are well underway also. So project's progressing well. Glenmore Water Treatment Plant, filter 9's back online. They've taken off filter 7 and 4, and they've started to do demolition work in those, and they'll commence up again in the next few weeks, putting in new under drains and filter media, and then bring them back online and progressively work through that. The control room's basically completed, and I think they started to fit out with a lot of the control equipment. Glenmore Water Treatment Plant solar farm, so there was a media opportunity at the end of last week, so they've commenced obviously putting in solar panels, so they'll work through that process of installing those, the kiosks, and obviously eventually getting it all hooked up and connected to our system. Gracemere and South Rockhampton STP strategy, work's progressing on the design to upgrade South Rockhampton. On top of that, we're finalising the installation of the effluent pump station there. I think the switchboard's just the last component to go in. And I understand FRW in negotiations with some of those neighbours to take some of that effluent supply. Gracemere, so the aeration upgrade is happening out there, so the switchboard arrives there this week. The blowers in situ, they relocated a number of the surface aerators, and they've installed the new diffusers. They've just obviously had to take some site measurements to hook up all the pipework and manifold to get that system ready. I imagine probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks we should be able to bring that one online. Mount Morgan Pool, design's obviously being developed and finalised. There are demolition crews to hit site next week and commence on that. Our date for practical completion still remains the 21st of February next year, so we'll progress that project. Thank you. Questions?
Thanks very much, Andrew. Councillors, probably just a question from myself, Andrew. The Glenmore Water Treatment Plant upgrade, I think there was some concern a bit initially of the condition of some of those filters. Is the process better or worse than what we were envisaging there? It's probably a difficult question, but I think there was some concern that the filters were not going to be satisfactory to refurbish to some extent.
Through the chair, I understand. I mean, they are. The ability is to obviously bring them back. I mean, the efficiency, I suppose, of filter 9 hasn't been confirmed yet, so I think once we bring more and more about it and then see what the work that has been done, how effective and efficient that is, I know there's a new filter medium layers which are supposed to add more efficiency to the process. So.
Peter?
There's no big surprises to date. So we've done 9, we're on the next 2. Hopefully they will improve their process and be able to do it a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
The thing that you might be raising is also, we were talking about the structural integrity.
Yeah.
If you recall, it was not in the scope of the project. We did get structural engineers to assess it, and they've been looking at as we go. And the cost to do the major repairs that was put in by the original contractor was probably excessive, and we looked for a simpler solution, which was, I think, a stainless or steel capping to protect. So that's the current position where we are. But so far, in terms of cracking, what you saw is when we
Well,
took
the
out
extent
there is there,
Yeah.
and we have to deal with it the best we can.
And I think that was probably the question, and I'll probably rephrase it, is that once those filters were out, to check the integrity of the
The integrity
structure.
inside's okay. There's I think one of these filters has a section that they believe might be damaged, and they've got to replace.
There's a leak in one of the corners, so
One
they're going
corner,
to put a
but
bit of a slab
look,
in there.
there's nothing here that's overly surprising right now. I mean, there's still more filters that come out, and who knows what we
What that
will
holds,
find.
but
Okay.
yeah, but to date, they've been better than what potentially
Yeah.
we were looking at. Okay.
Correct.
And probably on that note, I think it's great we'll see a couple of these projects coming off the list now with the Alliance Maintenance and the SCS Gracemere Car Park as those projects are delivered. So great work. Councillors, any questions to Andrew on any of those items? We have the officer's recommendation separated into 2 parts as councillors, so we'll deal with the first part, excluding the Mount Morgan water pipeline, and we'll have that as a second item when Councillor Smith steps out of the meeting. So, councillors, could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to the officer's recommendation? Move Councillor Latcham, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, and I will ask Councillor Smith to step out while we deliver on the Mount Morgan question on that one,
No,
Councillor.
Mr Mayor, that says it was the pipeline project we received and Councillor Smith has...
Oh, sorry.
So it's the wrong one.
Excluding the Mount Morgan pipeline one?
Excluding Mount Morgan water pipeline we received.
Sorry, my mistake.
No, that's it. So then we move on to the second item, that the project delivery Mount Morgan water supply pipeline be received. Again, move Councillor Latcham, seconded Councillor Kirkland. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. It's great to see some of those projects coming offline. Could you just invite Councillor Smith back into the meeting, please? Oh.
No.
Okay. Righto. Okay, council, move on to 10.2, the Civil Operations Monthly Report, and ask Blue to present that one. Thanks very much.
Thank you. No, councillors, the report's been presented. I'll probably simplest is to take any questions that anyone has.
Councillors, questions on the report? Reasonably happy. That's a good indicator there, Blue, if there's no questions. So,
Take the win. Thank you.
Councillor Smith, did you wish to move that?
No, once again, good report, plenty of information, and it's great to see those reports coming online for us to look back on, or to know what civil operations is up to. I'd like to thank Blue very much, especially like to thank Blue for continuing to go to our ratepayer meetings and bring people up to date with what's happening with the roads. Really, really important. It just takes a lot of heat off Councillor Rutherford and Councillor Wickerson and myself. Yeah, so
It's,
really thank him very much for that.
Thanks, Councillor, for highlighting that. It's an initiative there that does help when you get that technical advice to the ratepayers in that space. Thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Rutherford.
Mr Mayor, if I can just add to that, please, and the feedback on the work, the standard of work that's being done at the moment from the ratepayers groups is really, really good. So that's a wonderful thing to hear, and I hope that Blue can pass that on to the rest of the staff. And then there was personal thanks from residents on Lion Mountain Road as well for the great job that was done there also.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. That's great to hear that positive feedback. And Blue, I'm sure you'll pass that on to the staff and people in that space. That appreciation there is well received. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you very much.
On that note, Councillor Smith, you're happy to move. Seek a seconder. Councillor Rutherford. Second, Councillor Rutherford. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Move into 10.3, the black spot funding submissions. Stuart, has that report? Thanks, Stuart.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. It's that time of the year again where officers have been preparing our applications for the next round of Black Spot, so the 23-24 round. Obviously funded through the federal government with areas where there's been a proven crash history and proposing treatments that have a known benefit. For reference, our last year's application, so 22-23, we successfully applied for funding for Upper Dawson Road, Derby Street, Canning Street, Denham Street, through the length of road there between Telford and Murray, and Derby Street and Denison Street intersections. So Council received the second largest funding allocation to a regional council across the state, and the Derby Street and Denison Street project was the largest single project funded. So it's a bit of good news, I suppose, for the area. In the 23-24 round, council officers are proposing the following locations to put forward for Black Spot. The focus this year has predominantly been on lengths of road rather than specific intersections. So we've sort of taken a little bit more of a corridor approach to some of these rather than singling out a single intersection. So of those applications, we have the Razorback Road. So this is including the bottom curve of the jump up and then the alignment all the way to Poison Creek Road. So looking to improve the horizontal alignment through there with some road widening and improve the super elevation on a few select curves. So councillors will recall we put this up last year and it was unsuccessful. It was technically supported but just missed the benefit cost ratio cut-off. So we're looking to resubmit that. Unfortunately, there's been a few more crashes along that length. So whilst that supports our application, it's a bit unfortunate that that's happened. But so that works is for about $1.9 million, and we're proposing to resubmit that one. The next is, so the concept drawings for these are all in the attachments there for reference. So the next one is Rodborough Street between Water Street and McKean Street. So it's a bit of a route calming scheme comprised for a range of local area traffic management treatments. So those are including sort of threshold treatments, compact roundabouts, which we've used previously in Waterloo Street, some splitter islands on the minor leg approaches and a bit of a lane narrowing. So the cost of this is around $1.27 million. There's a big 2.5 metre footpath along that length of road as well that's proposed as part of that. That length of roads had experienced 14 crashes in the last 5 years, so a significant number, but also acknowledging that it is quite a long length of road. So we're looking to put that one forward as well. Canning Street between North Street and Cambridge Street. So councillors will be aware that this was a project that was due to commence. So there's been a range of crashes along that length of road. So officers have sort of reviewed that and added some additional improvements to that length of road. So there was a channellised right turn from Canning Street into Albert Street and some footpath arrangements there on both sides of the road. We're looking to make some improvements there by providing a pedestrian refuge crossing and also restricting some movements at the Cambridge and Canning Street intersections. So bringing that back to a left-in, left-out arrangement So previously, it currently has all movements there. Officers had implemented parking restrictions to improve sight distance there a number of years ago, but the crashes are still happening and occurring at that location. So that length and stretch of road has 12 crashes over the last 5 years. So we're looking to implement that as attached in the report there, and it's around $1.975 million. So I note that the funding threshold for these applications is $2 million. So a lot of our projects are at that upper end, but that's reflecting the nature, I suppose, of the scale of having a length of road being approached as opposed to sort of a single intersection. And the last location is Denham Street Extended between Bowen Terrace and Eaton Street. So there's been similarly as sort of a traffic calming scheme with some raised medians improvements, some changes to the minor legs, a bit of improved lighting and a mini roundabout at Eaton Street and Denham Street Extended. This has experienced 4 crashes in that period and estimated costs are around $412,000. So the concept designs for these have been done up and the applications are ready to submit. Council expect to know the outcome around June next year, with construction due to commence in the 24-25 financial year. So happy to take any questions from the table regarding those.
Thanks very much, Stu. We've got a ray of light, so I'll go with Councillor Latcham, Councillor Smith, and work off the other side of the table then. Thank you, Councillor Latcham.
Mayor. Question through to Stuart. Just on that last one, Denham Street Extended and Bowen Terrace, that little turnaround on a bend I thought could have been quite dangerous. Is there a reason why we need to have that little turnaround area, or could it just be blocked off?
Yeah, so that one at, I assume you're talking about the one at Bowen Terrace there. Yeah, so it's a bit of it's mainly there for the garbage collection because it's a one-way road. It's a one-way there, but they have to come in through that bit for access to that final property there in order to turn around. So it's a bit of a legacy one. It's a bit funny, but it's only really for that last house there, and it's so the garbage truck can get in and turn around in that location. So that's predominantly why that's there. We look to try and tidy that up a little bit with some of the line marking arrangements there to sort of shift people away from where that access is. But yeah, acknowledge it's a little bit funny there, but it's just a bit of a legacy with a one-way road there and sort of the way it's arranged at this moment.
Thanks, Councillor Latcham. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, Stuart, I totally agree with most of them, but I was a little bit miffed by, well, I couldn't understand the Rodborough Street one. It's very calm sort of area in Lake Street. It's not a lot of traffic.
Not at all.
I've witnessed the accidents, Councillor. It's
oh,
crazy.
really?
Yeah. It's
Oh, wow.
God.
I was only over there the other day. So were you saying, what is the crash history there? I didn't get it, sorry.
Oh yeah, so sorry, through the chair there's been 14 crashes along that building.
Wow.
A lot of them have been, there's been a few, predominantly at the intersections, a few loss of control along there. Council's received a lot of complaints about hooning behaviour around there. A lot of the crashes are predominantly focused at Rodborough and Bursker Street intersection. And when officers went into the crash information and sort of interrogated it, a lot of it was that it wasn't necessarily the intersection itself that contributed, but that a lot of vehicles are driving at excessive speed through there, and that, you know, sort of, I think, a failure to appreciate the intersections there until they're sort of upon it. And so that was sort of what had prompted the treatments along that section of Rodborough Street. So they're predominantly around making the drivers have some sort of horizontal deflections and having them sort of give way to the minor legs rather than have that priority movement all the way along Rodborough Street. So, but there's sort of a scattering of other crashes along that route as well. And so, yeah, reflecting that, we've sort of got it spread out on both legs from McKean, which has historically had complaints as well, all the way through to Water Street. So just sort of tidying up the priorities there and making it feel a little bit more condensed as well, so that drivers sort of drive a little bit slower. But acknowledging, yes, the volumes there aren't massive, but yeah, definitely experiencing, I suppose, those complaints and crash history at that location.
That's right, Councillor. And again, I think that's you know, the Knob Street one has I've seen accidents there over the years as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to see, and I'd be curious to find the Waterloo treatment that's occurred up there. That's been successful. Stu, there hasn't been any Any incidents?
No, through the chair, we haven't had any complaints or feedback or any issues there, and I think reportedly vehicle speeds might have come down along that link as well. The problem with the Waterloo Street one had two treatments with a fairly big space in between them, whereas the approach here for Rodborough sort of has a more consistently spaced, which I think will get a better outcome again with regards to vehicle speeds along the route. So.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith?
Can I just ask about the mini roundabouts? Are they those tiny little ones? And I accidentally ran over one in the Coombe once. Honestly, didn't even see it.
Yes,
are they that small, or are they just not a huge roundabout? Like, can you explain mini roundabouts?
Yeah, so through the chair, the intent of these is that we're not going and pulling out curb and rebuilding curb lines and things like that. We're trying to work within the bounds of the existing curbs, and so essentially it's providing a smaller radii roundabout within the intersection, and it's reinforcing, I suppose, that you've got to give way to the right as you're approaching the intersection. So similarly to the uncontrolled, but because there's that centre island there, it sort of forces people to actually drive in and treat it as it should, and it has line marking associated with it to reinforce those splitter islands and sort of narrow the approach coming in. But essentially we're working within the bounds of curb that's there and providing a small sort of centre island in that location. So it's not as prominent, it doesn't sit as prominently high as some of our other roundabouts, but it's sort of an urban treatment that we've been applying in a few locations and seen some success with. So.
Thanks, Jude. Councillor Rutherford?
Mr Mayor, I just wanted to make the comment, I think they're all really good projects, and thank you, Stuart, it's great to see the Denham Street extended one on there. I think, you know, to have a car end up in your front yard and just inches away from your lounge room is pretty scary to think that that's what you live with. So the peace of mind that this, providing we get the funding, of course, will give the residents there is just huge, because they live with that fear on a daily basis. So thank you for the work you've done on that one in particular as well.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Wickerson?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you to Stuart. Stuart, the same as other councillors, I support all of these proposals put up. Well worth waiting the 12 months or so if we can get some additional funds through the black spot funding. But just on Canning Street, the surface and fielding questions all the time, as other councillors as well, the surface condition there, which is fairly poor. In that 12 months that we're waiting for black spot funding, is there a regular inspection we can do of that to fix up potholes that occur without having to go through the pathways process? It's nearly like every couple of weeks we get a new pothole emerge and a new handful of complaints come through, just to hold it for that period. I understand absolutely why we are waiting, but the surface is cracked, and I guess water gets in under the surface and the bits falling out all the time. So is there anything we can do in the interim just to try and hold it for that 12 months?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a difficult one, Councillor, to try and do something, because there's sort of consistent, I suppose, issues with the pavement there. It's a bit difficult, I suppose, to apply a cheaper treatment to cover a long distance there, as opposed to just, you know, doing the minor potholes as they sort of come across. I suppose the benefit, as we said, in deferring, is that this will potentially be 100% funded through Black Spot. So, but you know, we can ask, I suppose, through Blue maybe, through, you know, whether they have a bit more of a regular inspection. But I mean, it's a higher order road. It seems to be holding okay, and we just have to keep an eye on the seal and see if there's any increased deterioration. But it's hard when it's a long stretch of road that's in that condition to try and do something without, you know, going and doing a reseal, which sort of defeats the purpose of, you know, waiting. So.
Yeah, no, understood. And sorry, Mayor, just a secondary question. The entrance into accident and emergency into the hospital, up the top end of it, ambulances exiting out of there. Now, normally ambulances would come from QAS proper for an emergency response, but they may well be coming from A&E from one job straight to the next one. If they wanted to make a right-hand manoeuvre down Canning Street, are they able to basically break the law and cross over that centre painted median, or do they have to turn left up around the roundabout at the top and then go back down? And just thinking about the time it might take to do that.
Yeah, so through the chair, if it's an emergency situation, they flick the lights on, they can do it. They do what they please, yeah. So and so if it's not, then they can go left out and do the U-turn. But yeah, in an emergency situation, they can bolt out of there and flick the lights on, and it's sort of no different from what they have now. We're just trying to discourage that for general vehicles doing that movement. But yeah, acknowledging the ambulance can sort of do as they please in an emergency scenario. So as long as they assess that it's safe to do it, so yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wiggins. Councillor Mathers.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Just through you to Stuart. Morning, Stuart. I was really pleased to see Rodborough Street come up on this. As you know, you're saying 14 accidents in the last 5 years, but that's only ones that are reported as well. I know of plenty of other ones that have happened where they're just a bingle and people move on and just swap details. If you look at the map here, Councillor Smith, you'll actually see on the corner of Borden Street there's actually donuts there, so that it's used as a rat run, and it really is a troubled area. So I'm really pleased to see that. So thank you for that. And I'll ask you the same question I was asked, I think, the last 2 times these have come to us. Have we had a look at the corner of Clifton Street and Ford Street at this stage? It's still a very, very high accident area. And I get multiple complaints from residents all the time. I would almost have to say, if it's not every week, it would be at least once a fortnight there would be an accident there.
Yep. So through the chair, unfortunately for Black Spot, we've got to go off what's reported as having reported crashes, and that one hasn't featured high for quite a number of years. There was a treatment that was applied there a while ago, I think, was when it was reverted back to stop and there were some parking restrictions implemented. And since then, we sort of have it, that number has dropped down a bit. But yeah, as you sort of accurately reflected, it's not picking up property damage type crashes that might occur there. We can probably go out and have another look at the site distance and see whether further parking restrictions could be implemented there, and see whether that can have any benefit, because it is a little bit condensed as you go along that Ford Street leg there. So we can definitely take that on notice and have a look outside of the Black Spot application, Councillor.
Okay. Mr Mayor, look, Stuart, that'd be great if you would, and even if you wanted to speak to a couple of the local businesses there, they'll be able to give you an idea of the amount of times they go and assist accidents that happen on that intersection. The problem is, Mr Mayor, they're only small accidents, so now and again the ambulance gets called, but generally they're just, the information gets swapped and they're not reported.
You could pass on to the businesses.
Yeah, I've been telling them all to make sure that they record them, so that, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillors, no further questions. Could I have a mover and a second? Probably just one question before I go there. There's no list in priorities in these, though, Stuart. We just submit them all, and hopefully we get them the funding for all of them.
Yeah, so through the chair, the way that the applications work are that there's a number of crashes at that location. You propose a treatment which has a benefit in terms of a theoretical reduction, I suppose, in crashes as a result of that treatment. And out of that gives us a benefit cost ratio for that particular application. It's a little bit of a mathematical approach to it, I suppose, but so that in some extent will rank them across the state. So it'll be based on the BCR that they get. However, they then go through, I think, and whenever they keep going until they run out of money. And that's the cut-off. So as we sort of mentioned before, the Razorback was a strong application last year, but the threshold where that BCR cut-off is was sort of, it changes every year depending on who puts in applications. So it'll determine, I suppose, which ones we get up and where. As we said, the likes of the Rodborough Street and the Razorback are probably the two higher ones in terms of our benefit cost ratios. So they're probably the best chance for us, but they're also the highest dollar amounts as well. But our understanding is that the cost of the individual projects doesn't necessarily weigh into it. It's more how it's ranked and the benefits derived from that proposed treatment. So it'll rank itself a little bit, but we don't provide a priority ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Stuart. They're all warranted, and hopefully we're able to secure funding for the whole four. Okay. That said, Councillor Smith, you happy to move? Move Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Mathers. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Move on to our next item, 10.4, the naming of the new bridge in Depot Hill.
So for this one, councillors, I'll defer to our infrastructure planning engineer, Addy, who was on the panel that assessed the road names. So he'll present these following two for us.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Good morning and welcome, Addy. It's your first meeting to the council table, so
yeah, that's right.
Take it off. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor, councillors. So the first report that I've got provides a recommendation for the naming of a new bridge over Gavial Creek connecting Key Street and Boland Road in Depot Hill. So council received 2 nominations for this one. This was as a response to the advertisement on the newspaper and on the council's website seeking for names. So the council's naming of infrastructure assets policy has been applied, wherein an assessment panel consisting of council's regional service officers were established to evaluate the nominated road. The nominations have been considered and graded against the criteria that we have in the naming infrastructure assets policy. So from the assessment, it's office's recommendation that the new bridge structure connecting Key Street to Boland Road be formally named as Omira Bridge. And this was a name that was nominated by the family members of Jim Omira, who passed away in 2010. The Omira continued to live at the properties on Boland Road since it was acquired 40 years ago. Considering Jim's contribution to the community, his connection to the locality, and higher score against the criteria, the assessment panel considered naming the bridge after Jim Omira as appropriate. And the other name, that's Schneider, because
We might just deal with the one. Oh, sorry, you're right. No, my bad, sorry.
Yeah. So the other name, that's the Schneider Bridge, that scored high as well in the assessment criteria. So we would be taking that name and, reserving it for the unallocated road names registry. So, in case in the future we do have another road name that we need to name in the area, we would consider Schneider name as well for the nominations.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you.
Questions, Councillor Smith?
Oh, just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I'm surprised there wasn't more nominations since their $4 million bridge. And I did see it nominated, and I would have suggested to family members to nominate another person from Depot Hill. But the fact that Mr. Amara, they still live at their property on Boland Road, and I know he was known far and wide in that area.
That's it. I wasn't aware that they were out there for advertising, but the report
I did
highlighted
see
that,
it.
and obviously people have been aware of it, so there are those nominations there.
So I'm happy to
Happy to move.
move.
Seconded, Councillor Wickerson. Any other questions? If not, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to our next item, 10.5. Thank you.
All right. The other report. So this report provides a recommendation for naming of the short 145-meter section of laneway along 9 Mile Road, just 100 meters south of the Burnett Highway. So even for this particular nomination, we did receive 2 names. So that those were the Span Lane and the Feddersen Lane. Now in this case, both the nominations received equal scores. However, considering that it's a short section of a laneway only leads to the driveway of a property at the end of the lane owned by the Span family, officers felt it would be appropriate to name the laneway as Span Lane. So like in the previous report, the other name also ranked pretty high. So again, it would also go into the registry for unallocated road names and used in the future if we do get another road that needs to be named there. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Councillors, any questions with regards to the officer's recommendation? Seek a mover and a seconder. No, move Councillor Rutherford, seconder. Councillor Smith. Put that. Those in favour. Those opposed. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, that brings us to the end of our officers' reports. No notice of motions, no questions or notice, no urgent business. I'll declare the meeting closed and thank everyone for your input and thank the officers for your reports. Meeting's closed. Thank you.
always with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs.